I went from like struggling super hard to get any clients and any kind of engagement to like, boom, people are interested all of a sudden. And I was like, wow, that's the power of branding and positioning. You can't have your cup halfway empty and expect someone else to fill your cup for you. Overflow your cup first, where you have so much abundance that you can now share it with somebody else. And if you both have your cups overflowing, well, great. Now you're in a great position. I'm very, very happy, very, very excited about the.
All right. How you doing, Eric? ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy excelente, hermano. ¿Y tú, cómo estás?
Bien, bien. I can't complain. And we were just talking about even though we didn't sleep much, we are, I don't know about you, but I'm like a kid. I'm so energized right now. I don't know if it's just me or something going out there, but I'm feeling amazing. And obviously, well, I don't want to get too much into politics because that's not the point here, but what are your thoughts on all this and how do you feel about the result?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I'm very, very happy, very, very excited about the election results. I'll be honest, I was very worried going into it. They've been trying to take this guy out for a very long time, hitting with every single angle. I mean, whether you're right, whether you're left, I mean, dude, the comeback story that he
Mhm.
has is amazing. But even besides that, I mean, yes, like I was a very hard Trump supporter. Definitely wanted him to win. I mean, it's very, very important, not just for the US, but the entire world.
Mhm.
The banking system, health, I'm really excited. One of the things I'm really excited about is the fact that he has RFK running his whole Make America Healthy campaign again. I mean, part
Yeah.
of the reason why Colombia is because of health. Like when I'm in the States, dude, like I get bloating, I get, tired more, I have stomach problems. Like even if I eat like healthy out in the States, it's just like no matter what you do, like there's just something in the food, whether you eat out, you eat at home, everything. And like I can eat healthy and I'd be bloated the next day. But then
Hmm.
I'm out in Colombia. I remember literally one time I came back from Miami to Colombia and I had like a nasty cheat meal, like
Hmm.
burgers, fries, milkshake, everything. And the
Hmm.
next day I woke up and I had zero bloating,
Mm.
zero bloating. I could be in the States, I could eat chicken and rice, chicken, potato, whatever it is, steak, and I
Yeah.
always have some bloating or something. I have inflammation, my joints. I feel like an old man out there, and over here, it's just way, way better. So I'm very excited for his whole campaign. Getting fluoride out of the water,
Yeah.
chemicals. I think that's critical for what's happening. And yeah, man. I mean, world with the world, the world war is going on.
Hmm.
Everything like that. So it's major, man.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
happy.
No, 100%, man. And again, I don't want to get into politics, but the markets are at an all-time high, so I'm happy and it's a very good start for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's great to have you on board. I know that we have some things in common. You're living in Colombia. I am from Colombia, and now we also get to collaborate, which is great. And I want to start by just acknowledging you because I've been reading your content, and even though I don't think that you post that much, like what you do post, I think is very well thought out, and I've noticed that you're always showing up with a very just straight to the point, no BS kind of energy. I'm sure it wasn't always that way. So I'm curious, what's your intention with content?
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I don't have like this elaborate content plan or I spend 20, 30 minutes writing up a post. It almost comes off a little sporadic sometimes because it's just always authentic. It's like I have this thought, I want to share it, I'm going to post it, I'm going to write it one time. I'm not going to spend time overthinking it. I'm gonna try to be concise with it and get to the point. I'm just gonna post it, and maybe I go back and like edit the post a little bit if I notice like, oh, I said this, and, like I need to fix the wording on it, or I like had a typo or something like that. But yeah, man, I mean, to be honest, and this isn't the sexy answer. I just don't have time to waste, just spending too much time on content. I'm busy, as you know, right,
Hmm.
running these businesses, etc. Like content's great, but the reality, at the end of the day, like the real work is behind the scenes. so I don't get too caught up in the content. And the goal is to get to a place where I can step a little more out of the business, and have more time freed up, and then I can do more content. But then again, I probably know myself, I find something else to do. Because I enjoy the work. I enjoy doing the
Mm.
stuff. Content. I used to be a big content guy back in like 2018 to 2020, but after about
Yeah.
2021, I got very good at content, but I was like, you know what? Like, you can dress something up all day and you can put all the content out in the world, and that's great. And a personal brand is extremely important. But at the end of the day, what's most important is the work and the results that you actually produce and how you feel about that and your skill sets. And
Hmm.
trust me, if I could be the guy that nobody knows about and hit my goals, I rather that. I rather be the guy who's sitting on 9, 10 figures. No one knows my name. No one knows I exist,
Hmm.
and life is good. But the reality is, with what I want to do, that probably isn't the best route to get there. Maybe a day comes where I do achieve that and I can just go a ghost, and maybe I choose I don't want to, right? Things always
Yeah.
change, things evolve and shift. At the same time, I feel it's important. I want to inspire and lead others to be the best versions and the most expressed versions of themselves, right? Like Bob Proctor says, big mentor of mine, the whole purpose of life is for growth and expansion, essentially, to be our fullest expression of ourselves. So if I was, giving gifts from God to help other people with content by speaking, whatever it is, or just sharing my stories, sharing my wins, my losses, whatever that looks like, well, I got to do that. Like what else are we here for? What's the point?
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And that's the difference between people who post just for the sake of, of posting, or maybe because they have some kind of predetermined content creation plan, versus someone who, hey, I'm actually working, I'm busy growing businesses. And at the same time, I have things that I want to share, and I have ideas, and I have ways of thinking that I want to put out there, and maybe it can help others. And that authenticity comes across. And I want to get into the work itself and the results. And I have a couple of questions, and you can choose which one you start with. So you started with sales and, well, different things that you were doing before, and then you moved into management and running teams, and now you're moving into equity partnership. So the first question, how did you go from just being a closer to management, and then from management to equity partnerships? How and why did you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very simple transition because I've never been a closer. I've always been an entrepreneur. I literally out of college, I dropped out in 2018 and I started my own fitness company. So
Mhm.
I was doing online coaching. I was a personal trainer in Miami at the same time. And not for any other reason besides I wanted to get better at my craft and have content to produce. That's when I was creating content like Instagram every single day. I was posting stories every day, content every day, talking head videos every single day, doing all that stuff. So I started in fitness. My first fitness brand was called The Fitness, and it was kind of similar to like Kino Body, that whole thing, that
Yeah.
whole pitch of modifying it to your lifestyle and things of that nature, 3 days a
Mhm.
week, fasting, whatever. Then I switched from there, and it was funny because at the time, I was like with some girl I was talking to at the time. This is back in the day, I got a girl now, so if she's seeing it, don't kill me. But back in the day, I was hanging out with some girl I was talking to, and she was also into fitness, and we're both kind of learning under similar mentors. And she wanted me to create a fitness program for her. And I was like, yeah, cool, because like I was having fun, like learning how to program fitness routines and different stuff, and I didn't really have a lot of experience working with women. So she basically showed me this guy's Instagram page, kind of to model, and his name was Booty King, and he had like a
Mhm.
million followers on Instagram, and I'm like, huh. And the second I looked at his page, I had like a lightning bolt in my head, like boom, and the whole idea for my brand Booty God was born. Obviously, highly
Mhm.
inspired from that. But I kind of took the same principles that I applied of like lifestyle based and
Mhm.
adapting it and eating the food you like and following the 80-20 rule and incorporating intermittent fasting, but designed for women, right? They shouldn't fast as long as men do for biological reasons and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
3 days a week, because I know a lot of women and a lot of people in general that are busy, they don't want to train 4, 5, 6 days a week. Even today, to this day, by the way, I
Yeah.
only train like 2 to 3 times a week now.
Mhm.
I have times where I do more, but that's how it is right now. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I started doing that, starting to put out content. I didn't go full in on the brand Booty God, but I kind of started testing the waters with like towards women And all of a sudden I started noticing like I went from like struggling super hard to get any clients and any kind of engagement to like, boom, people are interested all of a sudden. And I was like, wow, that's the power of branding and positioning.
Hmm.
And I realized, and Taki Moore says this great marketing isn't shouting to everybody, it's whispering the right words into the ears of the right person.
Mm.
So the whole concept of that means speak the language of the person you want to target. You don't need everybody, but you need the right person. And I had a great model. I mean, to this day, I could probably still run that business. I have the trademark, so no one can take it. But maybe I even get back into that in the future because I have a lot more ideas for that company. But I realized I'm like, wow, man, what a great brand I had because one, it's catchy, right? Booty God. You can say it a million times, booty God, booty God, booty God. It's
Yeah.
easy to say. It's memorable. It's catchy. It's kind of funny. You know what I mean? So it sticks in people's head. But at the same time, what does every woman want? They want a nicer butt and they want a flat stomach and they want confidence, right?
Hmm.
And that's what I want. They want empowerment. So that was like kind of the three pillars of that whole brand, right? Help you get a flat stomach, naturally grow your butt, and empower yourself and gain more confidence in the process,
Yeah.
right? So that was fun, man. Like I was getting great results for people. I was very good at what I did, but I realized after about 6 to 8-ish months and I didn't make a lot of money off of it. I didn't really have the skill sets at the time, but I had the branding and I had more demand. Like I was doing very low ticket products. Like I think I was doing a 30-day booty challenge at like $1 a day, right? So
Mm.
I didn't really know how to sell high ticket at that time. I didn't really know
Yeah.
sales. I was first learned marketing and branding at that time through that. And I just kind of realized after some time, I was like, it's cool. I think I can probably take this somewhere, but like I don't feel fulfilled. Like I get results for people and like I just don't care. Like I'm happy for them. It's cool, but I know I'm meant for more. It's not really what I should be doing. And
Mm.
I'm very the kind of person like I know my potential. So like very quickly, if I feel like I'm hitting a ceiling or I'm not fully in alignment with where I know I can be,
Hmm.
I'm gonna move very fast. And that was the same thing with personal training. I was like, dude, I'm great at my results. I even helped this woman who's like a famous doctor. She was helping people with anti-aging. She had such bad sciatica. She used to be a rock climber. And she's a
Hmm.
beast. She's like in her 50s. She was a rock climber, like super badass chick. And she had such bad sciatica and went to all these doctors that couldn't help her that she could literally barely walk. She had like a limp and was barely able to train. And within, I think it was like 6 weeks, her sciatica was completely gone working with me because what I specialized at the time was in muscular imbalances. So I had a
Ah.
4R system that I learned from my mentor. I didn't
Yeah.
come up with it. He taught me this, but it works. Basically, the 4Rs is release. So you release your overactive muscles, which we have from sitting down. Usually it's our anterior muscles. So, your chest, traps, lats,
Hmm.
um, your hip flexors, your inner thighs, etc. Um, and then you're underactive, right? So you have tightened muscles, which are considered overactive. They're in a shortened position. So if I'm like this in my chest, it's in a shortened position. If I'm like this, it's in a lengthened position. My
Hmm.
bicep, if it's like this, shortened position, like this, lengthened position. So basically the whole concept was you release your overactive muscles and you reactivate and re-strengthen your underactive muscles. So I had a whole pre-workout and workout routine and protocol that'll help people basically to release their tight muscles. And that can be with a Theragun, foam roller,
Mm.
dynamic stretching as well. So usually it'd be like if I had a client in person, I use a
Yeah.
Theragun first to release their myofascia, which is basically the layer of connective tissue that sits on top of your muscles. And we,
Yeah.
we hold a lot in there of like little knots in there. So like you're hit little points when you're in the Theragun, you start like bumping a lot, and that's when you hit that tight point that you have to keep working. So, anyways, I do that. I take them through a series of dynamic stretches before a workout, and then I take them into a series of pre-activation exercises. Big ones are the glutes, right? Your butt, essentially. So where I learned a lot of foundation for booty god and how important it is to have strong glutes for men and for women. It
Mm.
affects your posture because it's basically a center of your body, right? It affects your imbalances, everything. And by sitting down, it's always in a lengthened position, so it's always weak,
Yeah.
right? So, using things like booty bands and exercises like that and different stuff for the back muscles. So, you basically have a better posture. And then we're going to the third R, which is a release, reactivate, then realign. So we have
Mhm.
imbalances between the right side and the left side, right? So usually your dominant side, if I'm a righty, usually I'd be tighter on that side, but I'll be stronger. and the
Yeah.
left side usually be a little bit underactive. Same with the legs. So it'd be a series of unilateral movements, which basically means one side at a time. An example of that would be a Bulgarian split squat or like a lunge, right? You're focusing on one leg at a time to rebalance those. And then the last R is re-strengthen. That's when you go into your compound movements like
Yeah.
squats, lifts, bench press, et cetera, to lock everything into place. So there's a whole protocol we did with that. So that was kind of the backstory, the inception of where it started. Got into Booty God. From there, I transitioned to affiliate marketing because I needed to learn. I realized I needed to learn how to actually sell and monetize.
Hmm.
And that's what I wanted to focus on. So I worked with a mentor of mine who was teaching affiliate marketing, who was very good at sales, worked with him for a few months. And I remember I was doing some sales calls for him, and I literally sucked at sales so bad that I went 1 for 20 on my first 20 sales calls. And I only closed the first person. I was 1 for 1 on the first one, but I only closed him because he actually knew me from a Jason Capital mastermind that we were both a part of like a year prior. So he already knew me. It wasn't really because of my sales skills. And the rest were a combination of sales skills. But I later came to realize I maybe wasn't as bad as I thought because I also realized the impact of quality of lead. And these people were broke as a joke. They just didn't have the money for the program. So, but it was a great experience. So then from there, I had an opportunity to work with a very big fitness influencer. She had like 2 million plus followers. And I was at a meeting with her with my dad because my dad works in the supplement space. He's a
Yeah.
distributor and he wants to do their own supplement brand. And I happened to be in Miami at the time. And so he was like, "Hey, you want to come to this meeting?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Because I was also very always been big into fitness, and she's a big name, so it's kind of cool to meet her. So we're at the meeting, and I look at her Instagram page. I see she has some ebooks and stuff like that. I'm like, "Hey, like, you know, like, how do you guys sell your ebook?" Like, "Oh, it's just a link in bio." I'm like, "Really? How much you guys make a month on that?" Like, "Oh, like 1,500 a month." I'm like, "Oh, you guys don't do like this DM strategy and this and that, call to actions, get them in the DMs with a keyword, qualify them a little bit, offer your program, this, that, whatever. You can be making so much more money." They're like, "No, but like, let's do it." Like, "All
Mhm.
right, cool." That was a great deal. We did a 50-50 deal split. And within the first, and we literally launched that in March of 2020, right when the quarantine hit, in the
50
heart of it.
50 50 50 rev share.
Yeah, great deal. But at the same time though, it also was a reasonable deal in my eyes because I ran all the acquisition. I basically white labeled my entire Booty God program to them and put their face on it. Like all she had to really do was just be the face and I leverage her brand. And that's when I
Mhm.
realized the power of brand and
Yeah.
monetizing the existing audience. Like I had a great product. I was getting results. I had like somewhat of a sales process. I just didn't apply it in the right, vehicle. And I had her, and boom, within the first, and by month three, we're doing already 50K a month profits with no paid marketing at all, completely organic, selling a $67 front end product to a $97 upsell to a $500 upsell. So, that was exciting. I was 23 at the time, started making some real money after 2 years in the online space of literally making nothing almost like at all. Um, and yeah, so I have a little more to the story, but I mean, you want me to pause for anything at all? Because I know I kind of covered a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just goes back to what you said initially of you never saw yourself as a closer, but as an entrepreneur. And so now, how do you see that identity evolving as you step into equity partnerships? And for people who don't know what that is, like how do you define that and why just not carry on doing, for instance, a rev share?
Yeah, so do you want me to complete the story? Because I kind of covered like the next part is like the segue and how I got into the
Go
whole
for it.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So pretty much from there, we worked for about 6, 7 months. It was going great. In August, we were at 20K on like, it was like August 5th, and we're already at 20K for the month. And I just turned on ads, boosting
Mhm.
our posts. And dude, we're literally getting a penny per DM. It was the craziest thing in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of like low quality, but like for a $6, $7 program, you need to literally you get 1 in 100. That's $1 acquisition cost. Like it's the craziest thing ever. The problem was I didn't know it was my first like partnership deal I ever did. So I didn't know the power and how important contracts are. So I had a very weak contract that didn't really protect me. And basically they just ended up sending me a termination letter for reasons that they stated that never actually happened. It was completely, made up. But I was like, all right, cool. You don't want to work? I don't want to work with you then. Like, that's fine. If you don't want me, I don't want you. That's fine. I'm not gonna sit here and beg for anybody. But what they ended up doing, because couldn't find out after through doing some due diligence, is that they ended up just cutting me out of the deal and undercutting me to somebody else. And they literally took my exact program of Booty God that I had. 'Cause I had a lot of ebooks and all kinds of stuff that I did with it. That they didn't use working with me. That's a key thing. They didn't use it
Mhm.
working with me. They took it and literally copy pasted it because I showed it to them initially. I
Yeah.
was like, hey, here's what I have, like we can do something like this. Like here's like an example, right? Not, hey, copy my stuff. So they ended up just copying my stuff literally word for word in my voice. Because when I spoke in my ebooks and stuff like that and my content that I provided, I was very like my own voice, very
Mhm.
conversational. It wasn't like a chat GPT or like very like formal kind of thing. It was very like, I just like talk how I talk normally. So
Yeah.
they literally copied it word for word. And I had a buddy of mine. I was like, hey, if you go buy their program, I pay for it for you. I just want to kind of see what they're doing now because I'm just curious. Cause I was like, man, like, why would you cut me out of the deal? Like, we're literally about to scale this to like 6 figures and then 7 figures a month. I was about to pay a funnel guy like 15K to build a funnel and start running ads through there and like take it to a whole new level. So, all things happen for a reason. Found that out. I was like, all right, well, hey, that's cool if you guys want to do that.
Mhm.
Um, and then after that, I was like, all right, well, I need to get the next thing going. So I tried some other partnerships. I had like two or three just like back to back to back failed partnerships. It was like 2 months spent and then boom, something doesn't work. I had a situation where I was going to run like a whole DM agency with this guy and we had the entire team in place. You actually know the people that were going to work with us. I don't have to say their names. I can tell you off, but
Mhm.
you know them. They're doing awesome things in the space today. Very, very sharp guys, very, very smart people. And they're about to work with us here, the whole team, ready to crush it. And then boom, the guy just like fell off the face of the planet and then went off and did this MLM thing. And he was gone for like 2 weeks without saying anything to me. So I was like, all right, cool. So from there, I was like, all right, well, all these partnerships keep starting, stopping, starting, stopping. I got to make some money. I can't keep wasting months without income coming in. I'm running out of my savings. I'm starting to have to like leverage my credit cards.
Yeah.
So I launched my own program at that point called IG Domination, which was a coaching program, basically teaching how to monetize and how to build and monetize your Instagram page.
Mhm.
So that was doing well. I did 10K my very first month with it, and then I was going to scale it, but I didn't really have a passion for it. It was kind of like I knew I could do it because I was getting results and I have the information, and I was very deep into like the Instagram game at that time. But I was like, I don't really want to do this long term, to be honest. I just, I know I can do it. I need some cash flow, but
Mhm.
I'm not really, too excited about it. So then I had an opportunity with a mentor of mine. He was working on this like data slash tech company. And I was
Mhm.
like, look, man, like, you know, I want to work with you. We always need A players. You're always doing a lot of cool stuff. And I also realized at the time that I was like, hey, like for me to get to the next level, I'm not going to get there fast enough if I keep trying to do things myself and being a solo entrepreneur. I need to
Mhm.
work with other people to get exposed to new things and new ideas and to learn things without having to rely on myself. Because I know when I go back to doing things for my own, for myself, I'll be able to move significantly faster with those experiences and that track
Yeah.
record under my belt. So basically, opportunity came for me to be the VP of sales.
Ah,
So
okay.
that's got into like straight sales. I started as a VP of sales. That's why I say I never started as like a closer. I was always an owner to like an executive management position. And then from there, that was an interesting story. But throughout that time, I've sold so many things: SaaS, B2C coaching, B2B, 2C, B2B. I really was on a phone call closing Dan Locke, who was my mentor, who got me into the entire space.
Yeah.
I was on the phone closing Fortune 500 companies, which was a cool experience. Big marketing agencies, stuff like that, e-com stores, all kinds of things, all kinds of people. So, long story short, ended up getting screwed over by my partners, ended up owing me a lot of money that's never been paid to this day. Is what it is, but I had to start from zero. And I literally got myself pretty deep into debt because of that, because I was like, you know what? I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So, like, I get it. Business fluctuates. Apparently, we're getting screwed over by a partner every 3 months and had to restart, because I wasn't kept in the loop on some of those things. Like, they're like, the owners. So they dealt with that. And I was kind of like, look, I'm loyal to a fault. I'm all in with you guys. Like wherever we go, I'm there. If we start from zero, let's fucking do it because I'm an entrepreneur. I know where to make it on the back end with the success, and I enjoy the game.
Yeah.
But it got to a point to where like I was having to live off of my credit cards because they just weren't paying me. They're like, oh, it's coming next week. Oh, this, oh, that. Always an excuse, always a reason. And eventually in December of I think it was like 2022, they're just like, yeah, like it's not working out, blah, 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 and kind of just like dropped me. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, I got all my credit cards are damn near maxed out. I got basically zero savings, zero income, starting from complete zero, my back against the wall. I got to figure some things out and fast, and I don't have money to throw into anything. So like, what can I do? Well, I've been closing deals. I know sales. I have all this experience. I know what, all these things. And that's probably the fastest way for me to get to 10K plus a month again and build from there. I was like, well, all right, I can go be a closer. So that's when I started to get like strictly into closing. And I did that for a bit, but I was never a closer. So I
Mhm.
was like in the role to get out of the role. It was a means to an end.
Yeah.
Do I enjoy closing? Yes, but I just knew I was meant for more. I didn't want to just be on Zoom calls for 6, 7 hours a day, just closing deals, making
Hmm.
10%. I'm used to making 100%, you
Hmm.
know? So I was like, all right, well, it's a good experience. I learned, did that. And then I had an opportunity because I need to make money from a buddy of mine who he was like, yo, look, I'm doing 20% commission for this thing. I need a closer. I was like, all right, look, man, I'll have a full-time gig, but like I'll do it after hours and on the weekends. And he's like, all right, cool. And then I thought about it like 2 days later. I was like, hey, bro, like I'm used to like building systems and for sales and sales teams and all this stuff. Like, do you mind if I just use my percent and then build a sales team off of this? He's like, yeah, I don't care. Do whatever you want. Like, all right, cool. And then boom, 1% closers was born. And
Ah,
that was a
okay.
decision because I had my back against the wall and it was a very risky play because it could have or could not have worked out. And the safe route would have been just kept being a closer because I could have made, 10, 20, 30K, 40, whatever plus a month
Hmm.
by just doing that. But like my heart wasn't in it at that level. I was like, I knew I love running teams and running different aspects and partnerships and all those things. That
Yeah.
really excited me. Um, so so yeah, I remember I had to have a long talk with myself and my girlfriend now. We're kind of talking at the time and kind of talking through things and getting things out of my head. And I realized I'm like, all right, like I gotta just take the leap. Like this is who I am. So what I do, I take the risk. So
Hmm.
let's just go all in, burn the bridge, and let's see where the cards fall. So that's what I did, and it wasn't the easiest journey, but that's kind of how I got into what I'm doing. And then the goal has always been for me, I literally have my dream board right here,
Yeah.
have like an acquisition.com, have a portfolio of companies. I'm
Hmm.
not here to play the game small. I'm here to play the game at the highest levels possible
Yeah.
for the love of the game. It's an infinite game. There are no limits. Why can't I be a millionaire? Why can't I be worth 8 figures? Why can't I be worth 9 figures? Why not 10 figures? It's possible. People are doing it. And I
Yeah.
realized by having conversations with guys like these Fortune 500 companies, all these high level people, I'm like, these guys aren't that much smarter than me at all. They're just
Yeah.
playing the right game. They're just in a bigger vehicle. And I
Hmm.
realized I'm like, no, looking back at people I grew up with too, it's like, I wasn't the smartest kid growing up. I was like a B student, and I was in no honors classes. I went to FSU. You know what I mean? Like it's not like this Ivy League crazy school. Like it's a party school. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, what's the difference between me doing what I'm doing than people that aren't and they're further behind, but maybe they're smarter or maybe even harder workers. I don't know. Who's to judge, right? I don't know what they do on every hour of their day. But it's like, what's the difference? Especially when I first started making money online when I was 23 with that influencer. So I was taking home like 25K a month plus at 23. That's not too bad, at least for me at that time. I know nowadays, since 2020, it's a lot. The internet's changed a lot. Um, but the time was a big deal for me. I didn't really know internet money was actually possible.
Hmm.
And I was like, what's so different? And I was like, well, one, I just never gave up. Like I was like, I don't care. I'm not gonna get a job. I'm gonna see this thing through and I'm not gonna quit no matter what, because I couldn't live with myself if I did. That's number
Yeah.
one. And number two, I just went for it. Like I just went for a bigger opportunity and played a bigger game. I could have went and got a job or a 9 to 5, or I could have stayed in college and got a degree and played it safe. But I was like, I couldn't do it. It's not me. It's not who I am. So yeah. So anyways, now because I've have all this experience and building systems and running teams and sales is the lifeblood of a business. It's like reality is, between sales and marketing, we are essentially the most important part of the business, at
Mhm.
least from the first layer. Because yes, product, like they're the same by Naval Ravikant, right? You're in sales because you don't know marketing, and you're in marketing because you don't know product, right? So product, yes, technically product is the most important, but I realized through my experiences, especially in fitness, I could be the best fitness coach and trainer in the world. And I was very good at what I did, and I was very obsessed for many years. But if I don't know how to market and sell myself, no one's gonna buy my stuff. All it really is a game of marketing and selling.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It reminds me of something Richard Branson says, which is that he's never actually designed any of the products for any of his companies, and he doesn't even know how to read P&Ls, but he just has the ideas and he makes it happen. He connects with people who are way smarter than him, and he drives that vision forward. So it, it's interesting because a lot of people would want to kind of take those bigger steps, but for some reason they feel that they can't or that they're not qualified. And so for someone who maybe is in sales and he sees others doing bigger things and he's tried maybe starting their own business or doing different partnerships and they haven't actually broken through that ceiling and they're still just stuck on Zoom calls 8 or 10 hours a day, what would you tell someone like that?
Yeah, to just go for it. I mean, here's the thing: what's holding them back is fear. And what was look, if I could start from scratch again, I would run a different path. I would have started with sales actually, and I would have just focused on that for like 6, 12, 18 months, got really, really good at that, made cash flow, and then be able to flip that into my own thing. But I had so much ego and pride that I was like, I can't not, I have to do it myself. I have to be that dude I see on Instagram who made it at a young age and this and that. And it didn't really work out that way.
Hmm.
But hey, I don't have any regrets because it's also taught me a lot. But if I can go back, I was starting sales. So,
Hmm.
anyways, the but being in those situations where I had like 100K in debt, bro. I had to start from zero, like complete zero, at with 100K, with supporting my girl who I'm with now. So it was sink or swim, and it was like I have to make money now this month, no time to waste. So when that happens, I put an Instagram story out the other day. It's like you don't need motivation or anything of this and that. You probably just need more trauma in your life. Like I have my back against the wall. I woke up every second of the day completely stressed. So I had no choice but to act. It wasn't acting because, I want to do bigger. It was like, I don't have a choice. I can't make the money that I need to make fast enough by just doing sales. I have to be making, XYZ a month to pay this thing off and get myself back where I need to be and like do it now because I don't want to waste time.
Hmm.
So I was like, I have to just play a bigger game and I have to play every single angle and all the limiting beliefs that I had and all the things that would hold me back or like I might fail this and that. I didn't have the luxury of even thinking about that. Like it's literally a luxury.
Yeah,
It,
for
it
sure.
literally is a luxury. So, you have to just go for it. Like, and maybe I was the kind of person, this isn't everybody, but it was for me personally.
Mhm.
God does all things for a reason, and I had to go through that situation. It was my biggest blessing ever because it forced me to play at a higher level and stretch myself and play at my potential. Because if not, I could potentially still be playing it safer.
Mm. And let's shift gears then, because I've also noticed that you're a very spiritual guy, and like not in a woo way, but just in a very again grounded way. What role would you say God plays in your life and in your business?
Yeah. So I really connected to God. I've always was like a spiritual person, like the universe and stuff like that. I mean, technically, my mom's side is Jewish. I technically like I'm Jewish, but I've never like was religious at all, like
Mhm.
not even close.
Interesting.
Um, and my dad like was Catholic, but he wasn't really religious. And going back to when I was younger, actually, that's kind of where it starts. My dad used to work with shamans, so
Mhm.
he literally used to guide people through their own ayahuasca journeys. So from like first grade to fifth grade, like most weekends, we were doing like ceremonies, man. And like I was doing like San Pedro ayahuasca at a very young age. Not crazy, by the way. Like I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I just remember participating in ceremonies, like having like a sip or so. Like, I remember the
yeah.
San Pedro cactus and it tasted very bitter and
Mhm.
all that stuff. But I was very tapped in, and I think that's
Yeah.
also why I just kind of felt like kind of like I didn't fit in when I was growing up around people.
Mhm.
I kind of like a little bit like an identity crisis. I was like, I don't know, I don't feel like I fit in with you guys.
Mhm.
I always felt kind of intuitive to a degree. Like
Mhm.
I was sensitive to people's energy.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, long story short, so I've always been kind of like, spiritual and all that stuff. But actually when I was going through the situations when I was like really down at those moments, when I was kind of in that working with my partners and going through that, and I had tons of moments, bro, like crying and like, what am I going to do? Am I on the right path? Did I just fuck up my entire life? I'm 20 something now. I'm basically back at zero. Like, how did I get here? And, after I was working with the influencer, by the way, I got in debt. So I got into debt twice. I had to move back in with my parents twice. So it wasn't the first time. The first time
Yeah.
I would say is my fault. The second time, it's my fault and my responsibility, but
Mhm.
it could have been prevented if the people around me were doing what they're supposed to do and fulfilled on what they said they would, but it's also still my fault and my choice for sticking it out and my responsibility to handle. So I was never a victim by any
Mhm.
means. I was like, look, that could have been prevented. That sucks, but hey, it's for a reason. So, you know,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure.
gotta deal with the cards you're dealt.
Yeah.
So during that time, I started just connecting more with like God. I was never like just like with God, but I had a buddy of mine also that had, he's pretty Christian and had a very like deep conversation with me. And I don't really say like I'm religious or this, that, or Christian or whatever. I have a Bible, I read the Bible, I read the Torah and stuff like that. So I kind of like to learn from everything and find what feels right. But my path has always been very internal. Like I want to just connect with God for God, not because of like, hey, like the church says to do this, or the synagogue says to do this, or the mosque says to do this. It's like, all right, I want to find what's true for me. And
Mhm.
I need to find my own truth in my own journey. And that way it's for me, not just something I'm following to follow, Because people say, oh, God this, God that, but they don't live in a godly way.
Yeah,
They
for
just
sure.
say things to say things a lot of times. So that's where I really found God, man. And the role it's played is, I mean, it's the first thing I do when I wake up is I pray to God. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember I was having like a hard time in my business around like October, November, December of last year. Because I was kind of in a transition phase with 1% of like dropping partners and finding new ones. And I was like, I had like one partner left. And when you're in that business, like you need multiple partners because high ticket is very volatile.
Mhm.
So I was like, nah, that's way too close to zero.
Mhm.
So that during that month of December, I remember beginning of December, I started praying to God. I incorporated into my routine. The first thing I do every single day when I wake up is I pray to God.
Mhm.
And I give thanks and I also ask for the things that I want in my life. And I ask for protection for myself, for my family, even my team, even for the world. Like every single morning now I pray for myself, my family, my girl, her
Mhm.
family, my team,
Yeah.
businesses, and for the entire world.
Mhm.
Um, and since I started doing that in December, every single day, all of a sudden, I had three partnerships all come into my lap in the same month. And I can't even say it's like, oh, this methodical approach that I followed. I mean, I gotta say it was God. Like, yes, I did things, of course. I don't just sit around on my butt all day. But, I think by acting with and through God and also, studying Bob Proctor and visualizing every single morning and feeling it, using the law of attraction in a way of like not just sitting around and waiting for it to happen, but action, but feeling
Yeah.
it and finding that and doing it not through the universe or on my own, but doing it through God. Because God really makes everything happen. Like that's what I believe.
Mhm.
That's what my experience has been for myself. If someone believes something else different, that's totally fine. That's cool. But I found that for myself. So yeah, it to answer your question, it is first. I put God first, and the rest falls into place. And I have no since I've been doing that too. I don't have an anxiety of like, oh, like I'm on my own. Can I do this or will things fail? It's like, look, no matter what happens, I got God on my side. I can't lose. Like I'm good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just go. Like it's whatever happens supposed to happen. And every single L, and I've had many different setbacks even since then and constantly challenges. Business is a series of solving problems. That's all it is. It's
Mhm.
problem, 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 fix, fix, fix. That's all it is. problems would never go away. So you have to change the frame of what problems are. This is blessing. You have to just work, it's opportunities for growth. It's the game. So yeah, to just to wrap that up, it is the most important thing. And now I don't have any concerns of, you know, going to zero or losing things or whatever, because things always end up working out.
Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. And it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes by a lady called Marianne Williamson. She says that we think we have many problems, but in reality, we only have one, which is our separation from God. And we think we need many different solutions, but all we need is to reconnect with that experience and that clarity and take action from there. And I mean, in my life, it's been a very similar journey. And regardless of all the ups and downs, I know that I have that. I know that I also build that relationship every day in different ways through prayer, meditation, and um, I mean, I found that way back when I was still in Colombia, and I had a near-death experience, and I was stabbed in the back. Literally, someone stabbed me with a screwdriver, which was not fun. And I tell that story in my book. But it was a terrible experience. But in hindsight, it was the biggest blessing in my life because that opened that space for my spiritual experience. And since then, it's like again, whatever happens, like I'm good. I haven't been in like six figures in debt. I've been pretty close, but I've bounced back, and it's always through that. Let's keep God at the center of everything. And it brings it to another thing because you mentioned your partner, and I also see that you talk about that and you put a lot of energy into cultivating that relationship. What role does that play now, having a strong romantic partner, having that relationship in your life?
Major. I mean, look, man, and look, my girl knows this, man. I was doing my thing, right? Having women was never a problem. But you know, I never saw myself, to be honest, in a monogamous relationship. Like I just didn't think it was in me, like I always had all these options. I was kind of doing my thing. I wasn't looking for it by any means,
Hmm.
anything like that. At least not for what I thought would be much more into the future. But this person, it just, again, we both weren't even looking for it. It just kind of happened. And, we both believe like God played a big part in that too, because it's kind of the way it went down and the tribulations we had. Like I'm in Colombia and I got denied my nomad visa that year. So I had to go back and stay in Miami, and we had to do a long distance for a time. And like, dude, I've always been anti long distance. I was like, yeah, that does not work. Not for me, not doing it. But you say certain things until certain things in your life happen.
Yeah.
And she's an incredible person. She's like a female version of me in a degree. She's a singer. Um, and being a singer and being a musician is basically being an entrepreneur. When I met her, she had her own hotel as well. Um, but she's all in on her career now with music, and it's very similar to being an entrepreneur. So she's someone
Yeah.
I can actually talk to about all the things I have going on, businesses, things like the real stuff. Not because I need to vent to anybody, but because I can just talk to her about it. And I'm the kind of person that, I realize for me, just being able to talk with someone, I don't need her to solve problems. I don't need her to tell me this, that. Like, I know what to do. I got it, babe. Don't worry.
Hmm.
But I do kind of like talking about it. One, because I enjoy the game, and
Yeah.
just two, because it's good to get things out of my head, because the knife can't cut itself, right? So if it's all up in my head, it's hard for me to solve problems if I can't put it out. Like she was the person I was having a conversation with. When I don't know if we're exclusive at that time, like officially together, or we're like a few weeks into before or a few weeks into it. I think we're just a little bit into our relationship.
Hmm.
And look, she was with me when I was at my lowest. So I know she's the real one.
Yeah.
And she was the person I was talking with, that I was like, yeah, I could keep being a closer, but I don't really want to enjoy it. I don't see myself doing it long term, just, for the money, or I can just go all in at 1% and do this whole thing, but it's going to be a risk. And like, just do a conversation with her. And she's like, like, what you got to do. Like, what
Yeah.
do you feel? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I got to just take the leap. I got to do it. So she's been pivotal, man. Like, and it's having my energy focused on one person has also been major for me because I don't have to think about, going out, finding someone, the whole game, the back and forth, a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
time and energy wasted. Not that I even really want that anymore, but just having something solid and stable gives me another level of just like, all right, I can just go and like go hard and work and just like spend all my time working because I already have that part of my life like on lock. Like
Yeah.
I'm good, we have a great relationship. And God bless, it continues that way. Um, and there's another point I was gonna make. Oh, another point is also like just it flipped my mindset. So I knew she was the person I wanted to be with for two things. And I said this on a previous podcast. I look at two main barometers. Number one, does this person make you want to be and help you to excel to be a better version of yourself? They're not
Mhm.
doing that, they're not the person for you. She helped me do that.
Mm. Yeah.
Also because she does that for herself, which is also why I liked her. I saw the growth of who she became as a person and physically, mentally, spiritually, everything from the time we first met each other and to the time we've been together. That's number one. Number two, as a man, we are designed to provide and protect. So
Mhm.
I found myself for the first time with somebody having this like innate primal desire to want to provide and protect for this person. Not like it was a chore or I had to do it or kind of I was supposed to do it, but like no, like I wanted to do it. Like that's my girl. I got you. Like I'm take care of you. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I knew it was the right thing for me.
Beautiful, man. Well, that sounds like an incredible blessing, and uh, it's always funny for me when people go to Colombia and they end up connecting with a Colombian girl because it's like, oh man, that's dangerous, but dangerous in a very good way. If you
Like
can.
trust me, I know these women are smart too. Like they
Mhm.
got game that men don't even realize. Like they would think they love you and this and that, and they're milk you. I've seen it happen many times.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's why I said I think it's also important for men to have abundance because my decision never came out of scarcity. I
Mhm.
didn't need, and I still don't need her, but I want her. I choose to be with her, and she
Yeah.
doesn't need me out. We choose to be together. There's like an analogy, like you can't have your cup halfway empty and expect someone else to fill your cup for you. Overflow your cup first, where you have so much abundance that you can now share it with somebody else. And if you both have your cups overflowing, well, great. Now you're in a great position.
Mhm.
You know, so I think it's important for men to have options because I see so many men get into bad relationships and stay in bad
Yeah.
relationships primarily because of scarcity. Because let's be real, it's harder for men to have options if you're not a high value man. It's
Mhm.
like if you're a high value guy, you're the top 3 percentile, or especially the top 1 percentile, you have plenty of options and you'll be good. But the rest of men, it's dry as a desert. In fact, if you look at the stats nowadays, the amount of men that are still virgins is insane. One of my really good buddies, he's a big dating coach.
Mhm.
I don't know how you say his name, but he's a very big dating coach. He has like I think 500,000 subscribers on YouTube now. I knew him before he even got into the online game. Like we're out here in Colombia together. Um, so we're hang out, we'll work out together, entrepreneurial, talk about chicks, the whole thing, always learning and improving ourselves, be the best versions of ourselves. And he has like a series, like a segment he does where he goes live all the time with guys, and
Mhm.
he'll have guys come onto like his show and basically like here like help himself improve. And the amount of guys that have terrible relationships are still virgins, even good looking guys who make money, guys who get played by chicks from a wrong partner. Like
Yeah.
the person you're with is probably the most important life decision you can make because they're with you all the time
Mhm.
and they're going to have a tremendous impact on who you are as a person. Since I've been with my girl, I became a better man. Like even people around me say it and they like, damn, like your energy is like different, man. Like, and I'm more mature now since being with her. I'm more of an actual man because now I have someone that is dependent on me that I'm responsible for. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how I see it. It almost feels sometimes like I think when you have a woman who's truly in her feminine energy, it's going to feel like sometimes it's like a grown child to a degree because women have emotions and I don't say that in a negative context. I think it's a beautiful thing because we're all grown children in our own ways.
Yeah.
But she looks like your woman who's in her feminine looks to you. Like my girl always send me these reels on Instagram of like you know, a reel of a girl who's like in her like the guy's like looking around like like protecting like looking for the dangers and stuff, and the girl's like walking around holding his hand like making my way downtown, just like completely out of it because they
Yeah.
feel safe with you. That's a blessing, Like there's another reel she sent me of like this guy with this girl, like she'll like start walking to the street or she'll like walk into a pole. And it's like she just like so absent-minded, but because she feels safe with her man, because she knows her man got her back.
Mhm.
Us as men, our role is to lead. We are the leaders to
Mhm.
provide and protect for our woman. So I want my girl to be able to be like that because she's when she's working, she has to be in her masculine energy to a degree
Mhm.
because now she's working. But when she's with me, don't worry, I got you. Like
Yeah.
that's my job. Let me worry about the problems. Oh, this, that. Babe, don't worry. Let me handle it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Again, having that balance and that mutual understanding is a great blessing because it frees up so much energy, like so much time and mental energy that a lot of guys spend just trying to get chicks or trying to please someone else. Energy that you could spend, yeah, just following your purpose and doing something more valuable.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. Well, I mean, as we wrap it up, anything that I guess you'd like to talk about that people don't usually ask you?
Um, Nothing comes to mind, man.
Okay, beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Any questions for me?
I know we don't have too much time. I mean, what was it that even inspired you to start this podcast?
Yeah, for me, like I like connecting with people at a human level because especially in the online space, I mean, we're just meeting on a tiny little square. So it's completely different when you meet someone A in person or B, you just talk real shit and you get to know like that's what I enjoy. And and for me, like I obviously I thrive with building relationships, and that's how I open new doors. I'm super excited to be going to a couple of really cool events in the next few weeks with people that I admire a lot, and so that's the reason why I do this, building relationships. And other than that, I mean, I don't have any master plan. I'm not pretending to be the next Joe Rogan or anything like that. People that I really connect with, that I vibe with, that I resonate with. Uh, that's why I do this.
Love it, love it. So for you, what's the big vision?
Well, right now, I mean, I don't really, and maybe this is something that I should work on. I'm not sure. I don't have like a big master plan. I don't want to be the next Warren Buffett. I don't have like a 10-year vision board. I literally have one here in front of me, but it's literally the next 6 to 12 months. And it's very simple things like yeah, maybe I shouldn't say this in public because I think my wife wouldn't be that happy, but I can share later. Other than that, I mean, we have some personal goals and then with my family and we want to start building a home, etc. Other than that, I mean, I don't really have like such great ambitions right now. Maybe that may change. But what I'm really focused on is building very good relationships with the people that I work with. So that's one of the core goals right now. Yeah, I mean, I can send you the vision board, or we can exchange that later on if you'd like.
Yeah, we can talk separate. I
But
don't really
it,
believe
but it's similar. I
that.
mean, having said that, it's similar to what you said in terms of acquisitions, having a portfolio. I think I'm very good at, again, building relationships and building long-term partnerships. And that's what I've done in the past. And that's what I see myself doing. Like I'm very good at connecting different people. So if someone needs help with marketing, I'm not a marketer, but I can connect you with someone who can. And so that's one of the roles I'm playing right now.
Love it, love it. I got one last question for you. What fulfills you?
My connection with my spirit, my spirituality, my daily practice, just being, I have a spot here. I don't think the camera can get it, but it's my spot and it's not nothing fancy. It's just literally a cushion and a yoga block where I just sit and I just do my thing. I breathe, I give thanks, even if it's just for 5 minutes. That is my happiest moment in the entire
Yeah,
day.
yeah, love it. You should yeah, one day we'll meet in person, bro. I'll show you some Tai Chi stuff. It's very cool, man. Very, very cool stuff.
Awesome. I remember I had a Tai Chi teacher. I mean, I'm not deep into it, but he taught me like the some of the main sequences and all that stuff in La Candelaria in Bogota. And yeah, he was a cool guy. He was a dancer and a theater actor, but he was really into Tai Chi. Anyways, man, yeah. I mean, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I look forward to meeting you in person next time I visit family in Colombia. So until
Yeah,
then,
brother.
God bless,
Yeah,
man.
brother. Likewise, brother. God bless. Thank you for having me. And we'll keep doing great things together.
Right, brother. Peace.
Later.